Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill. But if you're new here, my name's Morgan, and I love talking all things reality TV. And today, I will be ranking all 33 reality TV shows that I watched in the year of our Lord, 2023. So let's lay out some groundwork. Number 1, these are just the 33 shows that I remembered that I watched, and also that I know that I watched to completion. Now, some of them are still in their seasons. Some of them are shows that go on for a really long time that aren't just like a couple months, and then some of them are the shows that started in like October, November. I debated for a very long time whether I should have put some of those shows in here, and I might change my mind by next year when I hopefully do this again, but I just had to make a decision, and I thought, the more the merrier, let's just throw them in there. I'm also not going to be explaining the premise of every show. That just makes me feel like we'll be here forever. If you're really curious, a lot of these shows I've already talked about, or I just feel like they're popular enough that you've probably heard what it is. And if you haven't and you hear a title that interests you, I encourage you to go look it up because, I watched it. So some of these I'm not saying I recommend, but I spent my time on it. So if it sounds interesting to you, maybe you should too. This video is just supposed to be my thoughts, my opinions, and my ranking. That's it. The next thing I feel is important to state, this is all just based on my own opinion. I'm not basing this off of ratings or literally anything else, just what is up here in my noggin and how I felt about these shows when I was watching them. Lastly, we're going to be going through these kind of chronologically. I separated them out by what month they came out. I didn't feel the need to get the actual date and go that intense with it. I almost did, but then I backed up and realized it wasn't that serious. So that's the order we're going to be going in to look at all these different shows. The shows range from seasons of shows that have been going on for like 10 years or more now to brand new shows that had their first season this year. Just a nice little mixed bag of all the things I watch. Now to get into the different tiers that I created. At the very top, we have perfect, no notes. These are shows that I just absolutely love and adored. Shows even, dare I say, that in a couple years, I'd be willing to just go back and rewatch for funsies. Under that, we have solid, but room for improvement. These are shows I like, but I can't say no notes. I got things that I would change about them. In the middle, we have great to watch while doing something else. These are these shows that I wouldn't say are good or bad necessarily. Some of them even are good, but it's just, they're those shows that are just good to watch in the background. I feel like we all have shows like that, especially if you're really into TV. Below that, we have, these are shows that maybe should get canceled, but I still have a little hope for, and just didn't have the heart to put them in the very bottom category, which is cancel it immediately. These are shows that I hope to never see again. They shouldn't have made them in the first place in some cases. I don't even think I have a whole lot that are going to go down there, but I know one that's going down there. So for our first show, technically it came out in 2022, but hear me out. The first episode wasn't until December 28th, and then the majority of the rest of the episodes came out in January 2023. So I don't think it's fair to put it in 2022 when the majority of the show is in 2023, and that is The Circle Season 5. So I, like so many other people out there, I genuinely love The Circle. I think it's really great. I thought this cast was really good. I do think that Netflix is having an issue where they're wanting to almost like do too much with it. Like, I totally forgot that this season was called like The Circle Singles, and they made that a weird dynamic. I don't think they need to do that. I think they made a good show and they just need to continue doing good casting things, and that I felt like was a little weird. This is going to be so much tougher than I even imagined. I really like The Circle. Part of me doesn't want to put it up in perfect no notes though, because I did give it some notes. So I guess we're going to have to start out with The Circle being in solid, but room for improvement. Even though it's really not room for improvement, it's don't keep tinkering with it. Go back. Not new improvement. Improve by going backwards. So I will start off with putting The Circle Season 5 in solid, but room for improvement. Next up in the shows for January, we have The Bachelor Season 27, which was Zach Shallcross's season. Truly and deeply, it just wasn't a good season. It just wasn't. I mean, the women were fun, but I barely even remember it. The only good things I will say about it is, number one, it gave us charity for Bachelorette, which we will get into. And number two, the couple's still together, which is great because that never happens on the show anymore. So maybe it was a good thing that it wasn't a great season, because I don't know. I think because of the sounds I just made, we're gonna have to put The Bachelor season 27 in. Because, I was on the verge of never watching that show again. Charity really is, she was a saving grace, because, that was a long season. Next up, we have The Traitors. I cannot say enough good things about this show. Literally, it was everything I wanted it to be. It got announced. I watched it. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I loved watching it. Season 2 comes out in January. Bow, 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 bow. So I am just so beyond thrilled about that. I just can't. There's just not enough words for how good the show was. And if season 2 is not equally as good, I'll be so upset. Alan Cummings as the host, fantastic. Very Alton Brown in, what's the name of that show? Cutthroat Kitchen? It doesn't matter. Alan Cummings is just such a good host. He is so perfect for that. They casted it incredibly well. That's all I really worry about with season 2, is hoping that the casting and the flow and everything works. But, it's a good show. I feel like that makes this next thing pretty obvious. But yeah, Traitors is going to be going in perfect no notes. Look at it up there. That's where it deserves to be. Then in January, they gave us in the new year MILF Manor. I've already made a video talking about this show. So if you've seen that, you already kind of know my thoughts. But that's the most I've been cringing and upset watching a show in a very, very long... I really can't remember the last time that I just felt that upset. But there's something wrong in my brain where I have to finish shows, especially once I get into a certain point. So I did finish it, and then I watched it again to make a video about it. That's mental illness right there. As I said when I did my video about it, this show never needs to be made again. I think that was fine, just the one time. I mean, honestly, no, it should have never been made, but it did get made, and it just never needs to happen again, so cancel it immediately. Our last show for January was Are You the One Season 9. Are You the One is honestly one of my favorite shows. I love the premise, I love the concept, everything about it I just think is a great show. But ever since last season, season 8, when they did the queer season of Are You the One, I can't go back to the straight version of Are You the One. The queer version was just so much more interesting because they had not an infinite number, but it was so much harder to pair everybody together, and that made the show so much more interesting versus just straight girls, straight guys. It obviously has to, there's obvious connections that have to eventually add up. And there is for the queer season too, but it's just the math is just so much harder, which makes the show more fun. That kind of put a damper on season 9 for me, but the show was ultimately saved some by Jordan, who was cast in it, because they had this girl who was on the show doing the math, figuring it out for them, figuring out who should be paired for who, and it took everything in me not to just come through the screen and be like, listen to this woman, listen to her. That's season 9. I feel like with all that said, that means Are You the One has to go in solid, but room for improvement. And the same as The Circle, the improvement is going back. This might just be me. I don't think I'm wrong though. I just think the queer season was more interesting, and they should do some more of it. Moving on to February, we only had one show, and that was Netflix's Perfect Match Season 1. I'm gonna be super duper real. I barely remember watching this show. I was really excited about it because it was like Netflix's Bachelor in Paradise. I was excited to see some of these people come back that we hadn't seen in a while. Also, little intersection. Throwback is not the word. It doesn't matter. Carrie Carousel, who was on Perfect Match, she was on Perfect Match because she was on... I'm not going to look it up. Whatever that Netflix show was, that was the dating show where they wore those crazy, like, animal masks to go on dates, she was on that. But more importantly, what she really was the star of was season 8 of Are You the One? That's not why she was on Perfect Match, because obviously it was Netflix stars, but I just felt like that's an important little piece to put in here. And while I was really excited for the show to come out, I think it kind of fell flat. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I don't remember it super well because it was all the way back in February. I don't really feel like I've heard any rumblings of them even prepping for a season 2, and maybe that's just me not paying enough attention. But I mean, February's coming up soon, so you would think, and with all the shows they have, you think they'd have enough people to do another Perfect Match. For me personally, this one's gonna have to go in great to watch while you're doing something else, because I bet that's why I don't remember watching the show. I bet I was doing something else, and it probably was great for that. Just very bleh, very fine, very background noise. Then in March, Netflix gave us another little gift, which was Love is Blind Season 4. I love Love is Blind. I know it has its issues, but I've been watching it since Season 1, like a lot of people have. And I don't know, I think it's a really good show. I think they do a really good job at casting. I think that's where Netflix is like, prime is their casting department. And this cast in particular was one of my favorites probably since Season 1. And I know there are all those rumors about one of the couples being a plant or whatever. I don't care. I literally don't care. It's reality TV. I wanted a love story, especially after Season 3 not having a lot of great love stories come out of it and kind of being, kind of a lot. I wanted love stories and they gave them to us. And honestly, that's all I can ask for. I think what I'm going to do is going to be controversial, but I don't care because I have to stand up for what I believe is right. And I am putting Love is Blind Season 4 in perfect no notes. That's not saying Love is Blind as a whole doesn't have some notes that it needs, but that season, in and of itself, perfect no notes. Then April also only gave us one show, and that was Below Deck Sailing Yacht Season 4. I love Below Deck. I watch every single spinoff they come up with. They put a new one out, I'm like, give it to me. I eat it up. Sailing Yacht is actually one of my favorites. I love the difference with the boat being a sailing boat, all that jazz. I love Captain Glenn, and I used to love Gary and Daisy and Colin. This season was incredibly difficult to watch with all that was going on with our main trio. Part of what I loved about Below Deck Sailing Yacht was that they had had a consistent crew for so long, because we hadn't really been getting that with the other franchises. A lot of them have been going through cast shakeups, and that was what Sailing Yacht just felt like home, and now it feels like it's a broken home, and I really just feel like they're going to have to do what they've been doing with all the Below Decks and completely shake it up again, because I don't think I can watch another season with the three of them just going at it the way they were going at it, because it wasn't even TV drama. It was just too deep. I did not want to be seeing some of the stuff I was seeing. I was just like, It literally breaks my heart to have to do this, but Below Deck Sailing Yacht Season 4 has to go in, because honestly, if I didn't love it so much, I would say cancel it immediately. I would say end it, put it to rest, put it below the decks, the sea, whatever. But I love Captain Glenn, and I think if they can figure out how to fix the rest of the casting, that show can sail on. So, unfortunately though, that season has to go in. Now we're jumping into May, which gave us a couple little goodies, and we're going to start out with the Ultimatum Queer Love from Netflix. Technically, this is season 1 of this show, because they didn't classify it with the other just standard, straight ultimatum. So we're going with that it's season 1, but we still obviously have to compare it to the predecessor, the Ultimatum season 1, and that show was good. It was fine. It was a fun time to watch, but Netflix elevated it when they said, let's make it queer, let's give us all these women. The casting, fantastic. The drama, the suspense. I was hooked. I just could not get enough of that show. When it ended, I was so sad. I wanted it to start all over again. I wanted to erase my memory and immediately rewatch it. That's how much I had fun watching that show. It may seem like I'm biased toward the queer shows, and maybe I am, but they just were better. They're just better. When you put all those women, non-binary people all together and they all can match up with each other, again, just like Are You the One, it makes more suspense. It makes more interesting dynamics that are so fun to watch. And I still follow some of these people on social media because they were interesting. They were funny. I wanted to see what they do next. And I think that's a great thing about a reality show, when you can make people still care about the cast after the show is over. That's my opinion on that. I feel like it's pretty obvious where this show's going. Perfect. No notes. Give me another one right now, Netflix. Next up, we had season 1 of Gordon Ramsay's Food Stars. This is another one I've made a video on before. So I love Gordon Ramsay. If you've been looking ahead at some of the pictures that are below my little ranking thing, you'll see his face all over it. I love that man. I love most of his shows. This show, though, just truly wasn't good. It wasn't a good show. And the thing about it is that makes it just even more upsetting is that it could have been, and honestly probably should have been, a good show. They just didn't set it up in any format that made any sense whatsoever. Again, I've talked about this at length in my video, so if you want to go check that out, go check it out. But truly just upsetting and disappointing all around. This one's honestly kind of hard, because in my heart of hearts, I just kind of want to say, cancel it immediately, throw it in the dumpster. Part of the issue with that is, they've already given it a season 2. It is in the works. It is gonna be coming to our television screens. The reason part of me doesn't want to just throw it in the trash immediately, though, is because I don't think the idea is bad. But I think to make it good, you have to completely change the way they decided to do the show in the first place. So it just kind of leaves me with a moral dilemma here. I think ultimately, though, it does just have to go in, cancel it immediately, throw it in the trash, start all over, come up with the idea, but format it in a better way. I need to let it go. It's in the trash. It's gone now. It can't hurt me. Technically, season 2 could hurt me if I try to watch it again, but I think I'm going to be brave and just let that go. Just let it go. Next up, we had Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 15. I don't watch all of the different Real Housewives franchises. I just watch a few. So this opinion is not really based in a full understanding of the complete and entire franchise, but I have always said that Atlanta is the best of all the Real Housewives. Again, maybe I can't be saying that since I haven't seen all the other ones, but I just think Atlanta is so good. It has been a solid, consistently good show. However, the last couple seasons have been kind of... it obviously needs something. It needs some sort of shakeup, but I don't want them doing what they're having to do with... I think it's New York. It's not one of the ones I watch. Whichever one they're having to redo the entire cast, I don't think it's that dramatic. But something just needs to happen with it that I don't have the right TV brain to say exactly what that little sprinkle that will bring it kind of back to life is. But it's getting a little monotonous. It's getting a little boring. It's getting a little predictable. Hate to say it, but it's true in my opinion. With that, Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15 is gonna have to go in. Great to watch while you're doing something else. I love hearing the ladies. I like hearing what's going on with them. It's kind of like listening to your friends' voice notes, wanting to keep up. But I'm not going to just sit there and watch it usually. I'm going to be like folding laundry or doing the dishes because, as I already said, it's getting a little repetitive. Our last show for May is MasterChef Season 13, Tastes of America. First things first, Gordon Ramsay loves a theme, loves a bit, and I love that about him. With this season, it was the one where they decided to split everybody up by regions, and I loved that. The only issue I had with it was they kind of abandoned it midway through. It's like, if you're gonna do that, just do it the whole time. Why set us up to have this kind of competition where we're all rooting for either the South or the West or the Northeast, whatever they all were, and then just kind of midway through be like, nah, it's just normal MasterChef. That was my big qualm with it, but I did think it was another very solid season of MasterChef. It honestly probably could have gone in perfect no notes if they wouldn't have just abandoned the plot midway through. With all that, that puts MasterChef Season 13 in solid but room for improvement. Aside from just giving up on their little theme midway through, I also have been having an issue with the fact that it feels like we only get one challenge per episode. Back in the day, we got 2 challenges every episode, and I know they can do that again. I don't know what's up with TV shows giving us less in the same time frame, but like, get it together. The two challenges just make it more fun. It makes it feel like stuff's going on the entire time. Those are my notes. That's why it can't be in perfect no notes. Sorry, Gordon. We then move on into June, which was a great time for television because that is when we got The Bachelorette Season 20, aka Charity Lawson season. This is another show that I already made a video about, but I loved it. This was my, coming home. I've always loved The Bachelor. I've been a big fan of the franchise for the longest time, and I was honestly getting beaten down to the point where I was debating stopping watching it, and this exact season was what brought me back to life. Charity was an excellent Bachelorette. Then with it being the 20th season, all the stuff they did to bring back, like the Bachelorettes they brought back during the finale or Women Tell, whatever it was, all of the legacy type stuff just really drew me back in to realizing why I love this show so much, and I hope they continue to keep making it the way they did during Charity season, because it was a short season and a lot of people wanted more episodes, and I get it, but honestly, I would rather them give us less episodes if they are as good as they were with Charity season, because honestly, I just there are not words to describe how good I felt watching that season, and it was the first time in a very long time. With that, I feel like it's pretty obvious that Charity season of The Bachelorette, Season 20, is going in perfect no notes. Now, that doesn't mean the Bachelor franchise as a whole has no notes, similar to what I was saying with Love is Blind, but that season, top tier, god level. I want to erase my brain and watch it again. Then we got the show The Big D. It was its first season, brand new show, another show that I have already made a video about before, and, if you want to know everything I thought about it, obviously, go back to that video, but, I don't know, it was fine. It was a fun show. I had a good time watching it. I really don't even have that much to say about it, aside from what I've already said about it. Just, good middle tier show. My favorite probably thing about it was that they had JoJo from The Bachelorette hosting it. That was the whole reason I even decided to watch it. So I hope her and her husband stay hosting it. But just solid show. I feel like it can be hard to see a season 2 for that one. Maybe not. I don't know. But solid. Now, while I may have said the word solid a lot, it is actually not going to be going in solid but room for improvement. I don't think it's good enough to go there. It is definitely going in great to watch while you're doing something else, because that's what I meant when I was saying solid. It was great to watch while I was folding laundry. It was it was fine. It was fine. Middle of the road, so it goes in the middle of the tier bracket. Last for June, we have another all-time favorite of mine, Claim to Fame Season 2. I love that show. When Season 1 happened, I was glued. I was hooked. I was worried Season 2 wouldn't be as good, and I was wrong for thinking that. I loved every second of this show. I watched the finale live. That's how invested I was. I can't wait for Season 3. It's a perfect show. Perfect. So fun. So good. Fantastic television. So obviously, Claim to Fame Season 2 is going in perfect no notes. I don't really have much to say about it. They've been doing such a good job casting it. As long as they keep doing what they're doing in the casting department, I think this show will continue to just be a top tier banger. We move on into July that only gave us one show, but it was a pretty good show to give us. It was Below Deck Down Under Season 2. To start out, I think the casting for Down Under is really good. I love Aisha. I love Captain Jason. I love them together. I hope they keep that dynamic going because that's one of the things I like about the show. And I think overall they did a pretty good job casting, except for the guy who we're not even going to talk about what he did to get kicked off. I think that was the big issue with the season. And if that hadn't been there, this honestly maybe could have gotten ranked a little higher, but that was really upsetting to watch everything that unfolded this season. Otherwise, though, I do think Below Deck Down Under has been one of the better ones coming out of the Below Deck franchise. That's my opinion. I think it's going to overtake the other ones if they just continue to do better on casting than they did this season. Personalities, for the most part, were good. But maybe just watch out for some people. So because of the upsetting things we had to witness during season 2 of Below Deck Down Under, it's gonna have to go in solid but room for improvement. Maybe next year we'll see it jump to perfect no notes. Fingers crossed on that one. But because of different things, not even just the guy who got kicked off, the girl. I'm not even gonna look up their names because they don't deserve for me to talk about them. But the girl who was didn't think he did anything wrong. I'm gonna get mad just thinking about it again. We are now in August, which was a little less exciting than the other months, but that's okay. And we start off with Love Island USA Season 5. I'm a huge Love Island fan. I really like the dynamics of getting to vote. Super fun. Brings me back to American Idol days when I watched that as a kid. I love having power over the players. I also love that it's happening in real time. That's always really interesting. And I really liked with this season that they changed up the beginning on how they paired up with each other. I really thought that was really fun. I like that better. I honestly hope they stick with it. This one's honestly kind of hard for me. I love Love Island and I really liked the shakeup. I just don't think the casting was as good as the season before. I don't know if that means it should go in solid but room for improvement just over me not liking this cast as much as I liked the last cast, because this cast was still really good. I'm in kind of a hard place with it. Gotta really come to terms with some things. Honestly, I think if my only note was I liked the cast before better than this one, that doesn't really count as a note. So Love Island Season 5 is going in perfect no notes. I'm honestly kind of surprised how many perfect no notes shows I have. I did not think it would be that many. Maybe I'm just in the new year giving spirit. I don't know though, because I'm not disagreeing with anything I've put up there so far. I shouldn't be punished for the fact that I picked perfect shows to watch this year. Oh, here we go. A not perfect show that I chose to watch this year. In August, we got 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort Season 1. Brand new 90 Day Fiancé spinoff. This show was so bad on so many different levels, I should have stopped watching it. But like we've already talked about, I have a problem where I have to finish shows. And finishing this show was just painful. It was brutal. It was like pulling teeth. I really don't even think it was that many episodes, but it felt like 30. It felt like it was never, ever gonna end. Part of the issue was the casting. The casting just wasn't great for the situation. Number one, we had Angela there, whose partner is not in the US. And so they just had him all the time on this tablet. That doesn't work when you're doing group therapy sort of stuff. Also, Ed. I'm tired of seeing Ed. His fiance's not even a 90 Day Fiancé. Yes, they've been on the show, but this was just too much. I don't think they should do this one again. I don't even know what possessed them to do it in the first place. I don't know what anybody was thinking. Because also the people they picked are not necessarily people anybody cares about or wants to see. No offense to them, but I don't even want to ever give it another ounce of energy or thought. We're just going to put 90 Day Fiancé, The Last Resort, and cancel it immediately. Gonna try to forget it ever existed and hope they don't do it again. Then we move into September, which gave us 8 shows. September is always the time for all the shows to be popping off. I feel like the universe knew what it was doing when they made me be born in September, because so many shows release or their new season starts in September, and it's always like getting a bunch of little birthday presents as somebody who loves TV. We're gonna start off with a show that actually released on my actual birthday, but was not a present. It was Love is Blind Season 5. So coming off Season 4, I was hype. I was so excited. It's releasing on my birthday. It's gotta be a good season. Lies. Complete no. Not even a little bit. Season 5 of Love is Blind was purely, mostly just upsetting to watch. I didn't have fun watching it, barely at all. There were moments, there were glimmers of light and hope, but honestly, for the most part, it was just not a good time. It was not a good time. I don't even want to really think about it anymore. I'm just gonna pray Season 6 gets better. They go back to whatever they figured out during Season 4. The weird thing with Love is Blind is how fast they film these, though. So I bet Season 6 has already been filmed. So it's really up to the editors. We have to hope that they can give us something at this point, because whatever's been filmed already been filmed. But Season 5 was just, whew, it was a rough one. It was a rough one. While it may not have been fun to watch, I don't think it has to go and cancel it immediately. It wasn't that upsetting. It just wasn't super interesting. So it is gonna have to go in, though, which is so sad considering the season before it is literally in perfect no notes. How far the mighty fall. Next up, we had Snake Oil Season 1. Brand new show, David Spade. I have also talked about this show in a video before. I like it. It was my first time getting back into like a new game show. I really used to love game shows, and I don't know what happened, but Snake Oil has re-inspired me to go find some of these weird game shows that are out there, because I think they're fun. I think it's a good time. With this one, I almost feel like it's hard to compare it to the other shows, because it really just is a silly, like, little goofy fun time versus some of these other shows that are more in-depth and stuff is going on. But for what it is, I feel like we have to put Snake Oil in solid but room for improvement. I think it's really good. There are a couple things I would change. I talked about it in my video, but I don't know. I think it's a pretty solid show. Again, if you don't want to go watch that video, the main things I said that I would change are they have like little celebrity guests come on that I don't necessarily think are necessary. Just some other little game mechanics too that I think kind of take up time, where we could be getting more of the actual game. But again, solid. Solid for a first season game show. I'm leaving it where it is. Final verdict. Next, we have an all-time favorite of mine, Shark Tank Season 15. So if you follow me or you see my channel at all, you might know I'm a very big Shark Tank fan. It's one of my favorite shows, but I'm gonna try to be, what's the word? Unbiased in my reviewing and ranking of Season 15. And no matter how much I love Shark Tank, it can't be in perfect no notes. I'm sorry, I do have notes about Shark Tank. I think the first note I have is a note that I've seen other people say on the internet, but I truly miss some of the old Shark Tank, where we would get these wackier, smaller businesses, and they actually had a chance of being invested in, versus a lot of time when they throw these businesses in now, they either just like make fun of them or it's just a complete sob story. I want things like I Want to Draw a Cat for You to come back. I think we got it a little last season in Season 14 with like the Hum Viewer, and there have been some so far. Obviously, Season 15 hasn't ended yet. This is one of the shows that is still currently running because it runs such a long time. But that's one of the things I really miss. I'm getting a little tired of almost every single valuation being $1 million plus and people asking for $500,000 for 5%. I'm getting a little sick of it. It gets a little old. The other thing that's a little tiny note is I think we need more guest sharks. And I think they've kind of been doing that this season so far. But I say even more. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like we need some more shakeups than there are. I love the OG sharks. I love them dearly. They all hold a little place in my heart forever and ever. Technically, not every shark who's on right now is OG, but we're not going to get in. That's not what this video is for. But I I like having new ideas, new people. I just think it keeps the show fresh when they're not always this stagnant group of people. And also, some of these people have just invested in so many things at this point. I feel like some of them are getting tired of it. Like people like Damon, it feels like never really invests in a lot of stuff anymore when he's on. And you can see it. I did a numbers video about Shark Tank season 14, and it shows in the numbers too that he's just not really investing as much. He's also not on the show as much, but I don't know. I feel like one thing that would help is more guest sharks more often, or even just adding more sharks into the shark pool of their main sharks. That could even help. I don't care how they do it. I just need more dynamics between the sharks themselves. It does not shock me in any capacity that Shark Tank is the show that I had the most to say about. But because of everything I said, I'm going to put it in solid but room for improvement because I love the show. I hope it keeps going forever and ever and it becomes a staple like it already is. I mean, 15 seasons is a crazy amount, but I want it to get to Hell's Kitchen levels. I want this show to go on forever, baby. So we need some shakeups. We need some improvements. It needs a little dusting off, in my personal opinion. As somebody who loves the show, I want to see it thrive. Next up, we had the relaunch of Kitchen Nightmares. After 10 years, the show resurrected. Once again, this is a show that I've already made a video about, so if you want all my in-depth opinions on it, go check that out. Overall, though, kind of like I was saying with MasterChef, this is another one of those shows that feels like it's giving us less, even though it has the same amount of time. In my other video, I talked about that I'd been watching some of the older seasons, and in comparing them, it feels like so much more happens in the old seasons in the same amount of time. And I just don't understand even how that is happening. It just feels like the newer season moves just very slow and not a lot happens. Still love Gordon, still love the concept, but it needs some major help to get back to what it was, because honestly, I don't think they're quite there yet, and I don't even 100% understand how or why. This makes me sad, but because of everything I said, I feel like Kitchen Nightmares has to go in great to watch while doing something else. I usually watch it while eating dinner, so I'm not doing something else, but if I didn't have a partner who I was watching it with that made it more entertaining, if I was just one-on-one watching this, I don't think I could just sit and watch it. And that's on that. Next up, we have Below Deck Mediterranean Season 8. This is another one that's still currently going on, but it's getting toward the end of the season. They've done 13 episodes so far, and usually it's a little over 20. So this one is one of those that I feel very safe being able to rank, even though it's not over. The beginning of this season was an absolute mess and nightmare to watch. I almost stopped watching it because I don't even know. It wasn't even the mess in the beginning with the guy who lied about his certificates and all that. That was actually really entertaining to watch. It was the mess with Tumi and Natalia that just made me want to hit my head against a brick. And I hate even saying the mess with Tumi and Natalia. Really, it was the mess with Kyle. I want to like Kyle. I wanted to like him last season, but every season he just makes me not like him. And all the drama he was stirring up between them, I would do anything. Not anything. I would do a lot to go back and not have Kyle on this season at all, because I still think there would have been some conflict with Tumi and Natalia, because, I mean, just number one, it's hard to let go of control no matter what Natalia wants to say about it, but they both have very big and in-charge personalities, so it would have been interesting to watch that dynamic, but I truly, deeply, in my heart of hearts, think that without Kyle, they could have made a really interesting friendship. I think there would have been kind of a blowout fight that kind of, like the fight that did happen. I think, again, in my heart of hearts, I just really think they could have resolved it and moved on and worked really well together after they kind of had a blow up at each other. It just feels like personalities like that kind of need something like that to move on sometimes. But with Kyle there, that just never was going to happen. And Kyle's still here, just complaining and, I don't know. The things that saved this season for me are Captain Sandy. I always love Captain Sandy. She's a favorite of mine. I got to meet her this year, which was, I got to go to her book signing, reading type thing she was doing. It was awesome, amazing. That's for a different time. And I also love Toomey. I loved her on Below Deck Down Under. I was so happy to see that she was moving into a chief stew position. They're kind of my saving grace. They're what's keeping me holding on to the ship at this current moment. With all that, again, this is one that breaks my heart. Hate to do it, but Below Deck Mediterranean Season 8 has to go in. Great to watch while doing something else, because that's the only way I've been able to get through this season is by watching it while distracting myself with a different activity. I didn't think about how therapeutic this was going to be for me, because some of these TV opinions and thoughts have just been rattling around up here because I don't have people who watch some of these shows, and it's so nice to be able to air my grievances that have just been living up here. Next up, we were given Season 1 of The Golden Bachelor. I know there are controversies with Gary and whatnot, but I honestly don't care about any of that. We're just going to talk about the show itself, and the show itself was perfect. It was fun to watch. It was the right amount of time. The Bachelor needs to go back to an hour. That made it so much better. I had so much fun watching it. The women were great. Gary was great. Just, again, there's just not enough good things I can say about it. I loved all of the cast. My heart overflows with joy when I think about this show, and I can't wait to watch the live wedding. I'm all here for it. I can't wait. I'm a sucker for it. When they announced that that's what they were doing, I was just off the wall excited. So I guess it's pretty obvious that The Golden Bachelor is going in perfect, no notes. I also accidentally downloaded this picture of the women. I just think it's because I love them so much. They accidentally got thrown in there, and I don't 100% know how to use this website, so I'm just doing my best. Couldn't figure out how to make it go away, but there will be one photo left when we get done ranking everything because of that. Sorry, just had to point it out because it's been bugging me this whole time. But The Golden Bachelor, perfect, no notes. I am on the edge of my seat waiting for The Golden Bachelorette. If you have any opinions about who you think it's going to be, definitely leave them in the comments because I'm here. I'm all ears. I am ready to talk about it. And then we move to the flip side of The Golden Bachelor, which was Bachelor in Paradise Season 9. I say the flip side because they were airing the same night, Golden Bachelor, then Paradise. And I may have lied just a teeny tiny bit at the beginning of this video and said all the shows I was talking about were going to be shows that I watched and completed. I lied. Bachelor in Paradise, I did not finish, but I had to talk about it because I had lots of feelings and I wanted to put it on here. So I gave up after episode 1. I think I tried to watch the beginning of episode 2. I honestly can't even say for sure if I did or not. I hated it. Especially after, I tried to watch them both live. After watching the first episode of The Golden Bachelor and then moving into Bachelor in Paradise, it was just such a stark contrast of production, of just everything. It just felt horrible to watch. Also going from the show that's an hour to 2 hours, I just couldn't fathom how we were going to see 2 hours of Paradise because they have not been doing anything with it in the last couple of years. Paradise just hasn't been good, so I don't know why, especially with having 2 shows going the same night, they felt the need to keep it at 2 hours. I think it would have helped it if it would have gone to an hour, the same as Golden Bachelor. Should have just tried it out. That's my personal opinion. I can't give too many opinions again because I did not watch the actual show. Mostly just wanted to say that, and mostly just wanted to scold them for why won't they make this show better? Paradise used to be the thing everybody looked forward to, and from other people I talked to, it now seems like the show that everybody dreads watching, which is really sad to see happen with this part of the franchise, but it is what it is. They need to step it up. That's it. Because of everything I said, and at the fact that I couldn't even finish it, Bachelor in Paradise is obviously going and cancel it immediately. Now, do I really want Bachelor in Paradise to be canceled? No, but I want them to just take everything they've been doing, throw it in the trash, and come back anew like a phoenix, because I it can't keep going like this. They can't keep doing this to us. They can't, and they won't. And our last show rounding out September is Hell's Kitchen Season 22. As I've said a million times, I'm a huge Gordon Ramsay fan, and I've always loved Hell's Kitchen. It's always been one of my favorite shows, and the season's no different. I love it, especially compared to last season. They were trying to do one of their weird shake-up things last season, where instead of doing men versus women, it was old versus young, and that was horrible. So I'm glad they took notes from last season and went back to just doing it the way that works. This one is also kind of hard for me. I love Hell's Kitchen. I feel like it's a constant, it's solid, but I fear that, like I've said a lot this video, it is another one of those shows that is giving us less with the same amount of time. It's less egregious than Kitchen Nightmares, but I just feel like there's more Hell's Kitchen used to give us that we're not getting anymore. And again, I just don't even understand how that necessarily happens. But other than that, I feel like it's a perfect show. And with that being a note I've given to most shows that have been coming out, I don't know if that's worthy or not of keeping it out of the perfect no notes tier. I feel like since I gave a similar note to MasterChef, and I put it in solid but room for improvement, I kind of have to put Hell's Kitchen there too, even though I really want to put it in perfect no notes considering all it's done for our country, and the fact that 22 years is a long time, 22 seasons is a long time to be running a show and it's still to be as good as I personally think it is. But kind of similar to what I was saying about Shark Tank too, I just think there's some things that need dusting, shining up. And also what I said about MasterChef, about giving us less with the same amount of time. I think both of those things together do knock it out of that top tier spot. It hurts, but one day they'll get back there. We are now moving into October. Now we're getting into the shows that I really debated whether or not to put them in here, because a lot of them are just starting, but I really wanted to talk about them. I may change my mind next year and change up how I do this, but again, I had to make a decision, and I wanted some more shows to talk about, so we're talking about them. We're starting off with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 13. There are only 9 episodes in, and usually they do around 20 plus, but I wanted to say that last year, I probably would have put this show in Cancel It Immediately. It was a lot to watch, personally, in my opinion, and I think it is slightly better this season. Still, I don't think it's great, but I do think that they took some notes from last season and have made some improvements, and I wanted to give it its praise for that. With all that said, though, it's still going in because while they did make improvements, like I said, before it was in Cancel It Immediately, and the improvements are very small, and again, we're only in episode 9, so it's really hard to say what's going to happen with the rest of the season, but so far, I watch it and I go, I kind of keep forgetting that it's on. I'll forget about it for a few weeks and then watch all 3 of the episodes and then forget about it again, so it's definitely a Next up, we have 90 Day Fiancé Season 10. I'm a pretty big fan of the 90 Day Fiancé franchise. I'm not good at really consistently watching it just because there's so many different spin-offs. It's hard to keep up with all them, but I'll randomly pick what I want from the franchise, whatever's looking extra good that year. And this year, the normal 90 Day, I hadn't seen it in a minute, it felt like, so I decided to go back to it, and it's still just kind of trucking along. I don't really have even a lot to say about it. I think it's almost over because we just got episode 10, and they usually do around 10 episodes. It felt like there was still going to be at least 1 or 2 more, though, just based off the last episode. It felt like we were kind of on a cliffhanger. But, it's just one of those solid shows I just see trucking along for such a long time to come. With all that, I definitely put 90 Day Fiancé in great to watch while you're doing something else. I do like it, but that is the primary way that I watch this show is because I'm doing something else. Fun background noise, very easy to keep up with, but nothing groundbreaking, nothing like keeping me on the edge of my seat, ready to watch the next episode. Just some good noise. I honestly even like it better when I've completely forgotten that the show was airing, and I get to see it all at once. That did not happen this year, but that's always just a fun little, oh boy, I missed something. Watch it all in a weekend while I clean out a closet. So, it's not bad. It's not a bad place to be. Just because it's in the middle doesn't mean it's bad. Again, it could be an or cancel it immediately. So, I don't think it's a negative thing to be in the great to watch while doing something else, in my personal opinion. Last for October, we have Married at First Sight, Season 17. Another one of those that I kind of felt bad throwing in here because we're only on episode 8. I think that's right. Usually they get to about 20-ish, but I mean, that's about halfway through. And this show, not just this season, this show has been going downhill for such a long time. And it just doesn't even feel like it's ever trying to get better. I don't know what it would take for them to just, I think number one, we just need to change the experts. I have nothing against Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal, but I just don't think they have it anymore. I mean, what can you say when like none of the couples have stayed married in the past couple seasons? What do you say to that? It just doesn't even feel like a lot of times we'll start the season and you don't really even have somebody that you're like, yeah, I'm almost 100% sure those people could make it. And that just doesn't make it fun to watch. It's hard to watch when you start out thinking that these people are probably not going to make it at the end. And because of all that, I had to talk about it because it's been so upsetting to watch. It was one of my favorite shows. I used to love Married at First Sight. And just watching the slow decline of it just getting worse and worse and worse has been heartbreaking. I've debated this one quite a bit because part of me just wants to put it and cancel it immediately. Similar to Bachelor in Paradise, where I don't want it to be canceled, but I just feel like it needs a big refresh, and it almost makes me feel like I have to put it in there because I put Bachelor in Paradise in there. But I haven't given up on Married at First Sight. I'm still watching this season, and I still plan to finish this season. I haven't gotten to the point with it yet where I'm like, I can't even watch it. So because of that, I'm going to put it in but it's on thin ice. It is on thin ice right now, which is funny considering the picture right now is like snow people, but they're on thin ice with me. We are now in November, and we're starting out with Real Housewives of Potomac Season 8. Potomac, I loved Potomac when it started. I just thought it was so good. I thought it was gonna trample over a lot of the other franchises, but lately, it is actually getting to the point where it is kind of hard to watch, which is really upsetting because it has some of my favorite people on it, like Candace. If you don't like Candace, I literally don't care. You can say whatever you want in the comments. I'll delete it. I could not care less. But this season, I don't know. I'm gonna finish it, but they need to change something. I'm tired of all the Robin stuff. I don't like seeing Dr. Wendy where Dr. Wendy is currently fighting with this random new girl. I don't like the energy Potomac has been giving, which is very upsetting to me because again, it was when it came out, I was just like, this is perfect. This is great. Where has this been all my life? And now it's just where did that show go? It's gone. Because of just the everything about Potomac at the moment, it's going in the same place as Beverly Hills with the because I don't know. Again, it's very early, like with Beverly Hills, like with some of these others. It's very early in the season, but it's also been very upsetting for how early in the season it is. And I hope it gets better. I hope it bounces back. But at the moment, it is difficult to watch. Our last show for November is Married to Medicine Season 10. This is another one of those shows that I just absolutely love and adore. But similar to Atlanta, I feel like it's getting a little monotonous, a little repetitive. I feel like we need to shake some of the cobwebs off, dust it up a little bit. This is one of the shows, though, that I don't think what would help it is doing a cast shakeup. Because part of what I really personally love about Married to Medicine is how long they've been able to keep a lot of these ladies on the show and how long a lot of their friendships have been. That's part of what I think is interesting about it. But it does definitely need something. And I know they're trying Sweet Tea, adding her into the mix with the quad situation. And then we've also added Phaedra. They're trying some stuff. Again, it's a little too early to tell if it's going to be what the show needs, but at the moment, I think it needs something else to probably shake it up. Because of all that, unfortunately, my beautiful Married to Medicine ladies are gonna have to go in the same spot as my Atlanta ladies, which is great to watch while you're doing something else. It's just, again, just a little too repetitive, and I'm repeating myself, so I'm just gonna stop and leave it there. I have no idea how I did this, but somehow I missed one of the shows in August, which was The Ultimatum Season 2, aka the Straight Ultimatum. I don't know, I guess I felt like I'd already talked about The Ultimatum, so I skipped over it. I don't know, we're going back in time though. Part of probably why I forgot it is because it was very forgettable on its own as a season. It was not good, especially after they gave us Ultimatum Queer Love. To give us this garbage, it was so bad. I almost didn't finish it. Again, like I've said a million times in this video, my brain is the only reason I finished it. I did not finish it because I wanted to. It was bad. It was very, very bad. Incredibly bad. So I feel like it's pretty obvious that The Ultimatum Season 2 is going in to cancel it immediately. This is one I really just do believe they should cancel. Just get rid of it. Just do the Queer Love one. They had a way better reaction to that one. You don't need both of these shows. You don't need both of them, and one of them is bad. So get rid of it. We are finally in December, which only gave us one show, our final show of the evening, MasterChef Junior, Home for the Holidays. I cannot express the pure joy this gave me. MasterChef Junior is already just a perfect, top-tier, no-notes show, but the holiday version of it was just it was so adorable, and it was also so heartbreaking because they only did 4 episodes of it, so that meant they were sending like 3 kids home at a time. But even with that, it was perfect. It was such a nice little end of the year surprise to give us, but that doesn't mean that I don't think they don't need to give us MasterChef Junior again. I noticed, Fox, that you didn't give us MasterChef Junior. You just gave us this little Home for the Holiday special. You better bring back that full show. Especially after watching this, my hunger for MasterChef Junior is just increased. I need it back. I'm like a fiend. I have to have it. So it's probably pretty obvious the MasterChef Junior Home for the Holidays is going in perfect no notes. Those kids were hilarious. The bits that Gordon committed to, perfect. They had Tilly on the show as a judge. I couldn't have asked for more. I couldn't have asked for a better Christmas present from Gordon Ramsay himself. It was beautiful. It was everything I wanted. I was so happy. And that concludes the ranking of all the 33 shows that I watched in 2023. Overall, I think it was a great year for my personal reality TV viewing. After doing this, though, I have made some TV New Year's resolutions. One of them I already said, which is I want to seek out some more fun game shows to watch. I know they're out there. I'm going to watch them. I don't know why I stopped watching game shows because they're a delight. They are so fun to just put on, have a good time, don't want to think about the world. I need more of that in my life. That's not like drama and people yelling at each other. Just people competing for money, good time sort of shows. And not necessarily even just game shows, but competition shows in general. I feel like they're lacking in my life, but they're some of my favorites, like The Traders and Claim to Fame. I need some more of that going on for me personally. My only other resolution is I want to give some more shows some more shots. Oh my gosh, I just thought of another show I forgot. Oh well, it's too late now. I also don't know if I finished that show. I don't know if I'm going to leave this in. My only other resolution is that I want to give some more shows some shots. I feel like this year I wasn't as open to trying new shows. I feel like some people would disagree with that when looking at my chart, but for me personally, for the kind of person I am, I know there were a lot of shows that I was just like, I'm not even going to try. Some of them though, one of which I'll make a note of right now, House of Villains, was a show I wanted to give a shot, but couldn't find a singular way to watch it that wasn't like me having to pay for it on Amazon Prime or to have like the crazy live TV Hulu stuff, and that really made me upset. I just want to try branching out there, maybe try a new network. Yes, I just feel like I need to shake it up a little. Like I was saying about some of these shows that I love that have been on too long, I need a little shake up just like they do. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun putting this together. I already have plans for next year to be able to do this even better. I love ranking things. I love numbers. I'm a big dork for that sort of stuff. So I plan to make this even more next year because of the kind of person I am. As always, let me know what you thought in the comments. Have you seen any of these shows? Are you gonna go watch any of these shows because of what I said? Are there some shows that you know that were on this list that you think I should try out? Let me know all that and more in the comments, and until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.